So what is going on, guys? Welcome to another Garden Warfare 2 video. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the character changes and map tuning changes that they did bring in the Trouble in Zombopolis Part 2 update. Now yes, this video is quite late from when the update was released. I've been moving house, so I've not really had time to make this video, but it's better having the video late rather than not having the video at all, so hopefully a lot of you will understand that. Now today I'm going to be mainly focusing on the character changes, but they've also made some changes to some of the maps along with actually fixing the black loading screen. We've had this loading screen since launch and they have been aware of it, but it was hidden somewhere deep in the coding. They've happened to find that fix, and no longer are we going to witness the long black loading screens at the start of the majority of the game. So that's a big thumbs up in my books. We also have a lot of map changes, so let's get straight into those as well. So the first map that we are going to be taking a look at is Great White North. They've adjusted the plant and zombie spawns in Objective 1. I'm guessing this is going to give the zombies a higher chance of being able to capture the first objective. They're probably going to spawn that little bit closer to the garden, so it makes that map just a little bit more fair. They've also repositioned turrets in Objective 1 and 2. These turrets were the locations of the potted plants, which the plants can use to actually spawn them up and try and defend the garden. So they have changed the position of the turrets in Objective 1 and 2, and they've also increased the difficulty of the minigame at the end for the zombies. That means it's not going to be as easy for the Yeti to be defrosted and for the zombies to win. I feel like the zombies won at this minigame the majority of the time, so this is a really good thing to have brought to the minigame at the end of Great White North. The next map we are taking a look at is Seeds of Time. They've repositioned the turrets in Objective 2. They've also adjusted the plants and zombie spawns in Objectives 1, 2 and 3. I'm not sure if that's in favour of the plants or the zombies. Personally myself, I feel like the zombies capture them gardens way too easy, so I'm thinking it's in favour of the plants being able to defend it that little bit easy. And the final change they have made to the Seeds of Time map is they've increased the difficulty of the minigame at the end for the zombies. The minigame where you are pushing the boots up to the top, they've made that more difficult for the zombies. It's going to move slower, so it's not going to be as easy for them to win the game as well. So those are all the changes they have made to Seeds of Time. The next map we have is Moon Base Z. They have adjusted the plant and zombie spawns in Objectives 1 and 2, and they've also repositioned the turrets in Objective 1 and 2 as well. The next map we have is Zomburbia. They've adjusted the plant and zombie spawns in Objectives 1, 2 and 6. They have also repositioned a turret in Objective 2, so they've moved one of the turrets somewhere else where Objective 2 is, and they've also increased the difficulty of the minigame at the end for the attackers, so it's going to be more difficult for the plants to vandalize the zombie university, throw toilet roll all over the place. It's going to take even longer for them to win the minigame at the end on Zomburbia. And the final map that they have made changes to in the Trouble in Zombopolis Part 2 update is Zombopolis. They've adjusted the plant and zombie spawns in Objectives 1 and 2. I think that the plants captured those objectives way too easily, so it's going to make it a little bit easier for the zombies to defend these objectives. They've also removed one of the turrets from Objective 1. That means that you're not going to have as many builder bots available to defend that objective, and they've added one turret to Objective 3. And the final changes they've made to this map is to do with the minigame at the end. They've increased the battery and Zombot's health. That means it's going to be harder for the plants to destroy the battery and also destroy the Zombot as well. And one final thing they did say as well is they've increased Zombot's Zombossiness. So I'm guessing he's going to attack the plants that little bit more, or maybe deal that little bit more damage. But the definition, what they've said, is they've increased Zombot's Zombossiness. Moving over to the character balancing changes, there are a lot of them, so I'm going to try and get through these as quick as possible without taking up too much time. So first off, we have the Colonel Corn variants. The standard Corn has got an increased magazine capacity by 5, so now he has 5 extra bullets in his magazine, and they've also increased his range damage from 5.5 to 6.5, so he has 2 buffs there for the standard Colonel Corn variant. Next we have Mobcob. They've increased his magazine capacity from 35 to 45, so he has 10 bullets added to his magazine capacity, and they've also increased the damage, fall off, start, and end distance. What this means is the distance you are between the zombies before the damage will start to be reduced. So originally it used to be 20 meters before the damage started falling off. That's now changed to 30 meters, and at the lower end of the damage it used to be 30 meters. That's now changed to 40 meters. So you're going to deal more damage to the zombies even if you are that little bit further away from them. And the final variant that we do have a change to is the Partycorn. They increased his start and end damage from 5.5 to 6 and from 4.5 to 5. So depending on how close or far away from the zombies you are, the damage will be increased. So it's just basically extra damage for the Partycorn. And the final change they've made to him is they've reduced his damage, fall off, start, and end distance, similar to what Mobcob had. It's 20 meters to 30 meters, and it used to be 15 meters at the lower end of the damage. That's now changed to 25 meters. So basically, he's going to deal more damage even if he is further away from the zombies than he did before this update. Moving over to the Cactus character class, the default Cactus has had her reloading time increased from 2 seconds to 2.25 seconds, so it's going to take slightly longer to reload as the Cactus. They've also reduced the magazine capacity from 12 to 10. The Power Cactus has had an increase on her start and end damage from 20 meters to 23 and 50 meters to 18 meters. So this means that you can be 3 meters further back from the zombies and still deal that high amount of damage. The changes to the Jade Cactus is that they've increased her reloading time from 2 seconds to 2.25 seconds, and they've also reduced the inner blast radius from 2 to 1. I'm guessing that means that the blast radius of her weapon has been reduced from 2 meters to 1 meter, so that means when it does explode, it's only going to damage zombies that are in a 1 meter radius of the explosion. The changes to the Fire Cactus is that they've reduced the magazine capacity from 12 to 10, and they've decreased the fall-off end distance from 30 meters to 25 meters. So this means that you're going to need to be closer to the zombies before you're going to deal that high amount of damage for the Fire Cactus. The changes to the Future Cactus is that they've increased the magazine capacity from 10 to 12, so you are going to have 2 extra bullets in her magazine. Charge shots will now decrease the ammo by 2 to 3 depending on the charge level. So as you know, the Future Cactus has 2 charge levels. You have your single shot, you have a medium charged shot, and you have a high charge shot, and the longer you charge up for, the more damage you're going to deal as this character. Well, if you are going for the medium charge shot, it originally only still took away 1 bullet. It will now take 2, and the highest charge shot, which is going to deal the most damage, will now take away 3 bullets, where originally it only took away 1 bullet. They've also reduced the second charge shot impact damage from 33.5 to 30, and they've reduced the third charge shot impact damage from 58.5 to 55. Now, this isn't critical hits. The critical hits will deal more damage, but this is the standard direct hit of the damage. They have been reduced, so these are a few nerfs for the Future Cactus. And the final change to the final Cactus character is the Camel Cactus. They've reduced the look speed multiplier when zoomed in from 0.065 to 0.1, and they've also reduced the impact damage from 30 to 28. This once again isn't a critical hit damage, this is just the standard damage, and to be honest, I'm a little surprised with that. I thought the Camel Cactus damage wasn't high enough to actually kind of benefit the kind of style that the Camel Cactus is. I would have expected them to increase the damage, but they've been looking at the telemetry and all of the information, and this is the decision they decided to make. It's only a slight decrease in damage, but it is a nerf for the Camel Cactus. They've made some changes to the Electro Citron and the Iron Citron. The Electro Citron has had some charged shot damage increases. His second charged shot has gone from 20 to 25, and if you're further away from the zombies, it's been increased from 10 to 15, and his third charged impact damage has gone from 30 to 35, and when you're further away from the zombies, it's gone from 20 to 25. They've also reduced the reloading time for the Electro Citron from 2.5 to 2.25, so you are going to be able to reload slightly quicker as the Electro Citron, and they've also reduced the ammo reduction when you do a charged shot. The second charged shot used to take away 6 bullets, it now takes away 4, and the third charged shot used to take away 12 bullets, it now only takes away 8. The changes to the Iron Citron is that they've reduced the fall off start end distance from 30 to 20 and 50 to 40. So this means that you're going to need to be closer to the enemy to be able to deal that high amount of damage. And they've also reduced the rate of fire in Iron mode from 150 to 140. Not sure what the rate of fire is in Iron mode. I haven't actually seen any gameplay of Iron Citron or played as him, but those are the changes they've made to Iron Citron. They've made some changes to the Chomper classes as well. Chomp Thing has had an increased damage from 6.5 to 7.5, and they've decreased the effectiveness of the overheat upgrade that you can put on Chomp Thing as well. So that means that the upgrade isn't going to be as effective as what it was before the update. They have also made a reduction in damage for the Armored Chomper from 50 to 45. So if you're going up against a scientist that usually has 100 health, it's actually going to take 3 chomps rather than 2, so that's a big change for the Armored Chomper. And there was also a bug with the health upgrade. I don't know what it was before, but it used to either add more than 10 health or less than 10 health. They fixed the bug so that each upgrade will give an extra 10 health. They've made a change to the Fire Chomper as well. They've increased the overheat time from 1 second to 1.25 seconds. The Disco Chomper has had a reduction in damage in Disco mode, and those are all the changes for the Chomper characters. The Pea Shooter character class has had some changes. The Commando Pea Shooter has had his magazine capacity increased from 25 to 30, and they've also increased the damage fall off start distance from 0 to 10. The change to the Rock Pea Shooter is they've reduced the blast damage from 15 to 12. The change to the Toxic Pea Shooter, there has been some changes to the Toxic Pea Shooter. They've reduced the inner blast radius from 3.5 to 2, and they've also reduced the blast radius from 6 to 4.5. The changes for the Rose character class is the default Rose has had her magazine capacity increased from 20 to 30, and the changes for the Frost Rose is that they've increased her charged shots damage. Their second charge shot has gone up from 25 to 30, and her third charge shot damage has gone up from 40 to 45. They've also reduced how much a charge shot will take out of her ammo. A second charge shot used to take away 4, it now takes away 2, and her third charge shot used to take away 6, it now takes away 4. So you are going to be able to use more charge shots before you need to reload as Frost Rose, and they've also reduced the charge time to full charge by 0.5 seconds. That means you are going to be able to get to the full charge rate, which is the most powerful shot, half a second quicker. And the final character balancing changes we have on the plant side is to do with the sunflowers. Both the default sunflower and the power sunflower have had the increased to the damage fall off start end distance. It used to be 20 meters, it's now 30 meters, and for the other section of the damage, it used to be 40 meters, it is now 50 meters. So that means you can be further away from the zombies and still deal a higher amount of damage. Moving over to the zombie side, we're going to be taking a look at the All-Stars first, and they've decreased how good the overheat upgrade is for a lot of the characters. So they've changed it for the Standard All-Star, the Rugby Star, the Tennis Star, the Cricket Star, the Goalie Star, the Motocross Star, and also the Wrestling Star. So the overheat upgrade is not going to be effective on these characters. They've also made a few other changes to the Rugby Star and the Tennis Star. First off, the Rugby Star has got an increased blast damage from 4 to 5. That means he's going to deal more damage with his weapon. And they've also increased the damage fall off start distance from 15 meters to 20 meters. So this means that the Rugby Star is going to be able to deal more damage and also can be further away from the plants before the damage starts to be reduced. And the changes to the Tennis All-Star is they've decreased the start end damage from 7.5 to 7 and also from 4 to 3.5. So that means that the damage of the Tennis Star is not going to be as high as what it was before. And they've also decreased the default movement speed upgrade for the Tennis All-Star from 1.1 to 1.05. Moving over to the Super Brains character class, we have a few changes to the Overheat upgrade. They've decreased the effectiveness of the Overheat upgrade for the default Super Brains, the Toxic Super Brains, the Cosmic Brains, and also Party Brains. Now, they have made a few other changes to the Super Brains character class as well. The default Super Brains has had his first punch damage increased from 10 to 15, and his second punch damage increased from 20 to 25. Now, for Breakfast Brains, they've also fixed a bug that he had, that upgrade punches showed the wrong damage number. That bug has been fixed so that when he has got an upgrade on, the damage increase is going to be correct. And they've also increased his health from 175 to 200. So that's a big change for Breakfast Brains. A lot of people thought he didn't have enough health. Well, now he has 200, so hopefully he's going to be a lot better than he was before. And the final change to Breakfast Brains is that they've increased his damage upgrade from 1.2 to 1.25. And for Toxic Brains, they've also increased his punch rate of fire from 160 to 180. So he's going to be able to punch that little bit quicker than he could before. The changes to the Engineer class is the Mechanic has had a start and end damage increased from 7 to 8 and from 5 to 6.5. So the damage of the Mechanic has been increased, and for the Plumber, they've reduced the inner blast radius from 3.5 to 2. And for the Roadie Z Engineer, they've decreased the effectiveness of the Overheat upgrade. That means with the upgrade, he's not going to be able to fire as long as what he could before. There's been some changes to the Imp character classes. For the Standard Imp, they've slightly increased the accuracy, and they've also slightly reduced the reticle bloom for this character. For Little Drake, they've reduced the magazine capacity from 35 to 30, and they've reduced the fall-off start end distance from 20 to 15. That means that Little Drake is going to be closer to deal that high amount of damage. Now, the huge change is for the Pylon Imp. They've reduced the magazine capacity for the Pylon Imp from 32 to 16, which is a huge reduction in the Pylon Imp's magazine capacity, and they've also reduced the upgraded damage for this character as well. The changes to the Scientist character class is that the Archaeologist has had his reloading time reduced from 2.25 seconds to 2 seconds, and they've also increased his weapon damage range from 6 meters to 7 meters. The Astronaut has had his magazine capacity increased from 15 to 20. They've removed group damage, so I'm guessing if there was groups of plants together, it would do multiple damage to them all. That has been removed, and they've also reduced the reticle bloom for this character as well. For the Computer Scientist, they've reduced the Crunch Mode damage multiplier from 1.5 to 1.25, so he's not going to deal as much damage as he could before in Crunch Mode. They've also reduced the magazine capacity from 8 to 6, and they've also reduced the reload upgrade, so once you do have the upgrade on, it's not going to be as effective. And the final Scientist change is for the Chemist. They've reduced the rate of fire of the Chemist from 100 to 95, and they've also reduced the damage from 36 to 35. So there's a few changes there to the Scientist character classes. Next, we have the Foot Soldiers. The default Foot Soldier has had an increased start end damage from 7.5 to 8 and from 5.5 to 6. So that means that the damage is increased, so you can be slightly further away from the plants and still deal that high amount of damage. The Centurion has had an increased range damage from 8 to 10, so it's going to deal more damage as the Centurion. The General Supremo has had increased accuracy, and they've also decreased the effectiveness of his Overheat upgrade. The Arctic Trooper has had an increased magazine capacity from 25 to 30, and they've decreased the ammo upgrade from 36 to 35. So with an ammo upgrade, he's going to change from having 30 ammo to 35. For the Sky Trooper, they've increased the start end damage from 6.5 to 7 and from 4.5 to 5, so he's had a damage increase. For the Camel Ranger, they've reduced the magazine capacity from 15 to 10, and they've also reduced the start end damage from 14.8 to 14 and from 13 to 12, so that means that you're going to need to be closer to the plants to deal that high amount of damage. The changes to the Tank Commander is that they've reduced the inner blast radius from 2.5 to 2, and reduced the blast radius from 5 to 4.5. So that means that the blast radius of the tank commander isn't as big as what it was before, so if you do splash damage on the plants, they're going to need to be closer to the actual direct hit to be able to deal damage to them. For the perk ranger, they've reduced the magazine capacity from 22 to 18, and they've also reduced the cloud damage from 3 to 2.5. And the final changes to the foot soldier character class is the scuba soldier. They've reduced the rate of fire from 75 to 70, and they've also reduced the fall of start end distance damage from 20 to 15 and from 40 to 35. So you're going to need to be closer to the plants to still deal a high amount of damage. And the final character balancing changes we have in the Trouble in Zombopolis Part 2 update is for the Captain Deadbeard character class. Captain Flamefeast has had a reduced range rate of fire from 150 to 125. Captain Pertyman has had a reduced magazine capacity from 10 to 8, and they've also reduced the scatter shot damage from 30 to 25. And for Captain Shirtbite, they've reduced the magazine capacity from 14 to 10. So those are all the changes that we do have in the Trouble in Zombopolis Part 2 update. I told you there was a lot. It's a pretty long video, but anyone that has made it to the end, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you did find this information useful. If you do want to read it back to yourself, I will leave the link down to the website in the description. Make sure you do go check it out if you want to, and if you did find this video useful, make sure you do leave a like on today's video. Thank you very much for watching. My name is ZEROxFUSIONZ, and hopefully I'll catch you guys next time.